Yo guys, what's up? It is Ripe again, back with more revenge stories. Today from my girlfriend's room, which hopefully looks a bit nicer than the one from yesterday, I just wanted to say a huge thank you for the overwhelming support on yesterday's video. It was really encouraging, thank you so much. And without any further ado, let's dive right into the revenge stories. And the first one is titled, I let my abusive ex get swamped in medical bill late fees from the night we broke up. When I was a freshly turned 18-year-old girl, I was charmed and manipulated into a relationship with a horrible 30-year-old man. In the first month, he basically used threat of self-harm to make me allow him to move in with me and start supporting him, including making me think he was dead for a week, red flag much. Of course, things only got worse with time and we were together for a little over a year before I made the terrifying decision to get myself out. The last straw was confirming that everything he had ever told me about himself was a blatant lie, including the European accent he had been faking for his entire adult life. And guys, I wish I could fake to not have such an accent, but anyway. Once I told him we were done, I left our apartment that was half paid for by my parents and half paid for by me on foot. Not long after I left, he started texting me saying that he was about to end his own life. At this point I knew with certainty that he was full of crap and that it was a desperate ploy to manipulate me to come back. But I also knew that this dude was all kinds of unstable and there was no way in hell I was risking being wrong. So I called his bluff and called 911, my friend picked me up and got me back to the apartment around the time the police did, who then instructed me to go in first to coax him out of any dangerous situation. I walked in the door and found him sitting on the ground with unwrapped NyQuil and Tylenol spread around him, along with a bottle of wine and his costume dagger he thought was so badass. I could see the satisfaction in his face when I stepped inside, and I will always remember the look on his face when I stepped aside to reveal 3 cops coming towards him. It was a big dramatic scene in which he pleaded that it was all fake and he never intended to do anything, that ended with him leaving handcuffed in an ambulance and I started putting my young life back together. Fast forward a few months to sitting in the same living room enjoying some underage drinking with one of my best friends. At one point she decided to randomly dump her purse upside down and spread the chaotic contents on the floor. I look over to her saying, "What is this?" and holding a key up to her face. Turns out it was my mailbox key that I had been missing for over a month. I was too scared of my landlord to ask for a replacement and really had no mail coming to me, so I just shrugged it off. We went down to my mailbox to collect the weeks of junk mail and found 3 letters addressed to my ex from some health company I did not recognize. Yes, I know it was not legal to do, but of course we opened them. Turns out it was the bill for the ambulance ride and for some reason the dumbass gave them my address. Or did he honestly think he would still be getting me back at that point? So we opened the next 2 and saw that the bill was now overdue and exponential late fees were being tacked on. Naturally, we laughed our asses off and decided to just ignore it for a while longer. I got several letters to him over the next few weeks that I opened, and when I was satisfied at the amount the fees had reached, I kept the next letter sealed. My same friend and I drove by his work, a downright laughable retail job, and I dropped her off around the block. She carried the letter in and walked up to him smiling and said, "Here you go," while handing him the letter, and turned and walked away. As she was just stepping out the door, she heard him yell, "Damn!" And that was that. And guys, I don't know about you, but for me personally, this story was pretty infuriating because I don't think a 30-year-old man should be dating an 18-year-old. I mean, some people say you cannot really prevent love from happening or something like that, and I guess that's how some people justify older people being together with much younger ones. And I would say this is not always a bad thing, but in this case the 30-year-old man was a manipulative douchebag, so I guess this was pretty bad. And in my opinion, he would have deserved a much greater revenge. Either way, please let us know in the comments because I'm curious, have you ever taken an ambulance in the US? And if so, how much did you have to pay? I gotta say, when it comes to things like taking the ambulance in the United States, I would be pretty scared of the bill. At least if I don't have insurance. And by the way guys, I forgot to mention, the first one was as usual from r/petty revenge and the next one is from r/regular revenge, which more and more becomes like pro revenge and is titled "Alcoholic Boss Decided to Ignore Employment Wage Laws and Treat Us Like Absolute Garbage for Months on End." So I reported him and shut down his business. This was back when I was in college in Canada working part-time as a dishwasher at a restaurant. A little bit about the restaurant owner: he was an alcoholic. He would crack open a beer first thing after he opened the restaurant for the day, then he would drink continuously throughout the day, all day, every day. And when he did, he yelled and swore at his employees. He would keep drinking in the evenings and sometimes he would pass out. Because I was responsible for cleaning, oftentimes I was the last one to leave at the end of the day. One night he drank so much he passed out on the seats at the back of the restaurant, then he yelled at me the next day for not waking him up. I later learned that he slept through the night with all of the lights still on inside the restaurant and the front door unlocked. But I digress. The biggest kicker was how the owner thought he could mess with our wages, shortchange us in the most blatant ways possible and get away with it. He kept a notebook where we would record our hours worked. Unfortunately, when it came to calculating our wages, he calculated the minutes as decimals. That is, 15 minutes means 0.15 hours, 30 minutes 0.30 hours, and 45 minutes 0.45 hours, and he did that with every day we worked. He was very much aligned with what he believed was the Chinese working culture, which means 996 work schedule for full-time employees, straight up sub-minimum wages, no overtime, no holiday pay, etc. And any suggestion to the contrary was met with direct verbal abuse. There were no breaks, we worked continuously. The one time I did get a short break, I had worked for 15 hours non-stop and he thought I was about to burn out right where I was standing. Back then I was still a college kid, so I did not know my legal rights that well, and he made it clear that it was not up for discussion. But I had a strong feeling that something was not quite right. It bothered me terribly and I had to do something eventually. The only reason I worked this job was to earn some money on the side. I was handing resumes one day and he hired me immediately. He got my resume in the afternoon and told me to start working that evening. I did not like to be yelled at, but I thought it was just a normal part of the job, so I basically toughed it out while he bombarded me several times a day. Soon enough, I kinda got used to it. But deep down, I was angry, I wanted out, but I did not know how. At the same time, I needed to do something, then the opportunity presented itself. The straw that broke the camel's back was how he wanted me to work on Canada Day. My shift was scheduled from 11 AM to about 3 AM the next day with no bonus, no holiday pay, no nothing, at sub-minimum wage, that's it. No breaks either. Remember, of course I bailed on him when that day arrived. He asked 20 times over the last 2 months and I told him no every time. When he approached me, he was not asking. He was straight up telling me that I must work on that day under those conditions. F that, he fired me the very next day. I could not be more delighted. I went right over to the labor board and reported the crap out of him. I told them everything. I also told them where to find that notebook with all the evidence in it. The officer at the labor board gave me a very serious look and told me he would investigate this thoroughly. The owner was illegally hiring study abroad kids from China to do the dirty work for him and treating them like absolute crap. One of the waiters told me she was paid as little as $6 an hour. The officer at the labor board ordered the owner to pay me more than $1,000 in compensation. Some days later, I brought a buddy with me and returned to the restaurant to collect the rest of what I owed. I got quite a few missed calls from the owner after that, then I blocked his number. The cherry on top? I think they must have been audited or something, because soon after my complaint I walked by it one day and it was completely boarded up. I went on Google to check and they listed the location as permanently closed. And by the way guys, in case you're wondering why this guy is wearing these stupid sunglasses, well, some smart people in the comments suggested to have different sunglasses for each story, so that's why I decided to buy 10 sunglasses today. Either way, onto the story, my guess is that this douchebag boss had a little side business that might have had to do with human trafficking. Once I heard the working way below minimum wage and poor students from China, that definitely rang some alarm bells. Either way, please let us know in the comments because I'm very curious, have you ever worked minimum wage? And if so, what kind of job was it? Please let us know your experiences in the comments, and while you're at it, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments and also like the video. Thank you so much. And the last one is from r/ProRevenge and is titled "Mess with people who have dwarfism and I am around? Then you will be messing with my friends and me." Yesterday I went kayaking with some friends. Whilst on the river we seen a woman who was obviously a small person. After about 2 miles we finally took a break on a shore to answer nature's call and drink a beer. Wait guys, I'm curious, what is nature's call? Is it taking a piss or is it drinking a beer? I'm not exactly sure. Anyway, well, after about 10 minutes of sitting there I noticed that a kayak was empty and floating down the river. And about 5 minutes passed before I seen the woman swimming trying to catch up. I sprung into action, swimming out, grabbing her and bringing her ashore. If I did not do that, then she would have wound up going through some rapids. Since I have kayaked loads in my life in the Boy Scouts, I had no issues with taking on another person in my one-seat yak. Or is it yak? Please correct me if I was wrong. I started talking to her to find out what had happened. I will call her Bethany from here on out. I was immediately thinking she was just too small for the boat to stay balanced out, and it flipped. Nope, she started talking about a group of men that has been harassing her the entire time. Asking her if she floats easier because she is a midget and saying many other mean, just unruly things. They eventually got close enough to flip her kayak over, telling her that she needs to swim to catch up to it. We floated another 7 miles before we got to the end of the line and pulled the kayaks up to the dock. I sent my bubbly female friend over to talk to the group after Bethany pointed them out. Since they are nothing more than a-holes, they went straight to asking for her number and hitting on her about how good looking she is in her bikini. She started asking if they seen the midget on the river, to which they started laughing and told her what they had done. I was close enough to hear it myself. After she got that information, I sent her boyfriend over to start talking about cars with them. They started talking about their sleeper Civic and how they just got a new paint job to make it purple. That is all the information I needed. I told my friend to keep them busy with car talk. This is where it starts getting good. I then ran to the parking lot with another friend to search down this car. After I had found it, we started taking off its 2 front tires. I have a lot of tools in my truck and some jacks I was not upset to lose, so this was not hard at all. I then sent my fastest running friend to the end of the parking lot with the wheels. When the group of assheads arrived, they were freaking out over the wheels. My friend then looked over to them, yelling at them that if they wanted to get home, they had to run to catch up to them. He rolled them down and started running for my truck, hopped in, and we started to drive away. I told Bethany that I would take her home if she wanted to stay back and watch Karma smoke them in the face, to which she did. On the way out, we got a good look at how far the tires rolled down the hill. Those puppies had to have rolled a good half mile, and watching 5 fat Fred F's trying to run downhill was amazing. I thought that that was the end of it, but no, it wasn't. By some magical force, the dude that we dished out the revenge on lives close to me. I was outside mowing the front lawn when I seen a purple Civic on the back of a flatbed truck. It finally hit me that the purple Civic used to be the white and green one that sat in the front yard of a house just down the road. The owner? the father of the dude that drove it and the father of the one who flipped old girl's kayak. Unbeknownst to me, the tire iron that is supposed to be in the car to change wheels in an emergency was not in there, so they had to call a tow to get it back. I know why the towing company did not let them use a tire iron, as it was going to be a better lucrative idea to charge them the full price of a tow. Moral of the story? A really simple one. Don't be an a-hole and bully people over disabilities. I just wish I could have heard what the guy said to cover his ass. He more than likely lied, saying he was the victim in all of it, but at least Bethany and I know the truth, and that is all we need. And the best part? After explaining to the kayaking company the situation, Bethany was able to get a full refund and a free pass for another kayaking trip. She invited me and my friends to go with her sometime next week. We will make sure she does not get effed with on that trip. And guys, I gotta say, it's not like this story was not satisfying, but if it was up to me, these guys would have deserved some sort of nuclear revenge. My idea would have been, maybe you could have driven their car into the river or something, because that is the least that they would have deserved. And I'm curious, have you ever witnessed any bullying in school? Personally, I gotta say, thank God I've never been bullied, but I've certainly seen kids in other classes that got bullied, and it's really difficult to do something against this. And in the end, I'm not really sure if it is the fault of the teacher or of the other students that did not really do much. So yeah, let me know your experiences in the comments. Unfortunately for now, we have reached the end of the video. I hope the face cam was not too awful and the sunglasses not too stupid. Thank you so much for watching. If you could like the video and if we could reach 1000 plus likes, that would be absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for your continuous support. I love all of you. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.